Gaiman Library, Part 3. Only the end of the world again. 1. It was a bad day. I woke up naked in the bed, with a cramp in my stomach, feeling more or less like hell. Something about the quality of the light, stretched and metallic, like the color from the green, told me it was afternoon. The room was freezing, literally. There was a thin crust of ice on the inside of the windows. The sheets on the bed around me were ripped and clawed, and there was animal hair in the bed. It itched. I was thinking about staying in the bed for the next week. I'm always tired after a change. But a wave of nausea forced me to disentangle myself from the bedroom. My head felt swimming. The cramps hit me again as I got to the bedroom door. I cramped to the floor, and before I could manage to raise my head enough to find the toilet bowl, I began to spew. I vomited a full-smelling, thin, yellow liquid, and it was a dog's paw. My guess was a Doberman's, but I'm not really a dog person. A tomato peel, some diced carrots and sweet corn. They were very small, both fingers obviously a child's. Some lumps of half-chewed meat, raw, some fingers. Shh. When I felt a little better, I picked up the paw and the fingers from the pool of spew and threw them into the toilet bowl, flushed them away. Then I turned on the showers and stood at the bathtub like a zombie as the hot water sliced over me. I soaped myself down, body and hair. The mingled latter turned grey. I must have been filthy. My hair was matted with something that felt like dried blood, and I walked at it with the bar of soap until it was gone. Then I stood under the shower until the water turned icy. There was a note under the door from my landlady. It said I owed her for 2 weeks' rent. It said that all the answers were in the book of Revelations. It said that I made a lot of noise coming home in the early hours of the morning and should think me to be quieter in the future. It said that when the elder gods rose up from the oceans, all the scums of the earth and all non-believers, all the human garbage and wastrels and deadbeats would be swept away, and the world would be cleansed by ice and deep waters. It said that she felt she ought to remind me that she had assigned me a shelf in the refrigerator when I arrived, and she'd thank me. I'd keep to it. It was time to go to work. The landlady was nowhere to be seen. She was a short, papaya woman. Spoke little. I thought she left extensive notes for me pinned to doors and places where I might see them. She kept the house filled with the smell of boiling seafood. Huge pots were always simmering in the kitchen stove, filled with the things with too many legs and other things with no legs at all. There were other rooms in the house, but no one else rented them. No one in their right mind would come to Innsmouth in winter. Outside the house it didn't smell much better. I'd been in Innsmouth for 2 weeks, I guess, and I disliked it. It smelled fishy. It was a claustrophobic little town, marshland to the east, cliffs to the west, and in the center a harbour that had a few rotting fishing boats and was not even scenic at sunset. The hippies had come to Innsmouth in the 80s anyway, bought the picturesque fishermen's cottages overlooking the harbour. The hippies had been gone for some years now, and the cottages by the bay were crumbling, abandoned. The inhabitants of Innsmouth lived here and there in and around the town, and the trailer park that ringed it, filled with dank mobile homes that were never going anywhere. A cold south wind came up off the bay. The girls were screaming, miserable. I felt shitty. My office would be freezing too. I really needed a drink. One could wait. How about Jig Dan straight up? Sure thing, you're new in town. Does it show? He smiled. Passed me the Jig Dan's the glass with filthy, with a greasy thumbprint on the side. I shrugged and knocked back the drink anyway. I could barely taste it. Hair of the dog, in a manner of speaking. There is a belief that the lycanthropy can be returned to their natural forms by taking them while they're in a wolf form, or by carrying them by the given names, yeah? Well, thanks. He poured another shot for me and asked. He looked a little like Peterloo, but then most of the forces in Innsmouth looked like a little Peterloos, including my landlady. I could hear the roar of the sea. I sang the jig dance, this time felt it burning down into my stomach, the way it should. It's what they say. I never said I believe it. What do you believe? Burn the girdle. Pardon? The lycanthropo have girdles of human skin given to them at their first transformation, but their masters in hell burn the girdle. If you drink rainwater out of a wargwolf's palm print, that'll make a wolf of you when the moon is full. The only cure is to hunt down the wolf that made the print in the first place and cut off his head with a knife forged of virgin silver. Virgin, hmm? His cheese partner barred and wrinkled, shook his head and croaked a single sad sound. Then he moved his queen and croaked again. I paid for the drinks and left a dollar tip on the bar. The barman was reading his book once more and ignored it. Outside the bar, bit wet kissy flakes of snow had begun to fall, setting in my hair and eyelashes. I had snow. I had New England. I had intimate, but it's no place to be alone. But if there's a good place to be alone, I've not found it yet. Still, business had kept me on the move for more months than I like to think about. Business and other things. Right, like it's easy. I locked the door to my office and went in. Inspected my office wall. Adjectives like seedy and rancid and squalid wandered through my head, then gave up outclass. It was very unprepossessing. A desk, an office chair, an empty filling cabinet, a window. There was a liquor store and a palmist was operating on the second floor. The smell of all cooking grease permeated from the boarded-up fried chicken joint below. I imagined a multitude of black cockroaches swarming over every surface in the darkness beneath me. That's the shape of the world that you're thinking of there. It was said with a deep dark voice, deep enough that I felt it in the pit of my stomach. We look about in the bosom and underworld with a sense of unease and disquiet. We think of ourselves as scholars of arcane liturgy, single men trapped in the worlds beyond all devising. The truth is far simpler. There are things in the darkness beneath us that wish us harm. The man in the armchair took a slow deep breath and rattled in the back of his throat. You're in my mind? Perhaps. The end of the world is a strange concept. The world is always ending and the end is always being averted by love and foolishness or just plain old dumb luck. Oh well, it's too late now. The other guys have chosen their vessels when the moon rises. A thin trickle draw came from one corner of his mouth, trickled down in a thread of savor to his collar. Something scuttled down into the shadows of his coat. Yeah? What happens when the moon rises? Hmm? The man in the armchair stared, opened the little eyes, where the swan and blinked them in waking. I dreamed I have many mouths. Every mouth was opening and closing independently. Some mouths were talking, some whispering, some eating, some waiting in silence. He looked around, wiped the spittle from the corners of his mouth, sat back in the chair, blinking persistently. Who are you? I'm the guy that runs this office. I'm sorry. His voice was only small and pretty for such a huge man. He looked me up and down blurry. Silver bullets, old-fashioned remedy. Yeah, that's so obvious. Must be why I didn't think of it. Gee, I could just kick myself. I really could. You're making fun of an old man. No, really, I'm sorry. Now, out of here. Some of us has work to do. He shambled out. I sat down in the swivel chair at the desk by the window. I discovered, after some minutes, to try and error that if I swivel the chair to the left, it fell off its base. So I sat still, waited for the dusty black telephone on my desk to ring, while the light slowly leaked away from the winter sky. A man's voice had I thought about aluminum siding? There was no heating in the office. I wonder how long the fat man had been asleep in the armchair. A crying woman implored me to help her find her 5-year-old daughter, missing since last night, stolen from her bed. The family dog had vanished, too. I don't do missing children. I'm sorry. Too many bad memories. I put down the cell phone, feeling sick again. It was getting dark now, and for the first time since I'd been in the Innsmouth, the neon sign across the street flickered on. Armageddon is averted by small actions. That's the way it was. That's the way it always has to be. It was the aluminum siding man again. You know, transformation from man to animal and back being, by definition, impossible, we need to look for other solutions. Depersonalization, obviously, and likewise, from some more projective. Brain damage? Perhaps. Pseudoneurotic schizophrenia? Laughably so. Some cases have been treated with intravenous trioridazine hydrochloride. Successfully? That's what I like. A man with a sense of humor. I'm sure we can do business. I told you already. I don't need aluminum siding. Our business is more remarkable than that, and of far greater importance. You knew in town, Mr. Talbot. It will be a pity if we find ourselves at, shall we say, loggerheads? You can say whatever like, Paul. In my book, it's just another adjustment, waiting to be made. We're ending the world, Mr. Talbot. The deep ones will rise out of the ocean's graves and eat the moon like a ripe plum. Then I won't even have to worry about full moons anymore, will I? But don't try to cross us. But I growled at him, and he fell silent. Outside my window, oh, the snow was still falling. I put down the telephone of the aluminum siding man for the second time that afternoon. She smiled at me, and I walked in, beckoned me over to her seat by the window. The room stank of incense and patchouli oil. She was playing a card game with a tarot deck, some version of solitaire. As I reached her, one elegant hand swept up the cards, wrapped them in a silk scarf, placed them gently in a wooden box. The sense of the room made my head pound. I hadn't eaten anything today. I realized perhaps that was what was making me lightheaded. I sat down across the table from her. In the candlelight, she extended her hand and took my hand in hers. Huh? Yeah, well, I am on my own a lot. I grinned. I hope it was a friendly grin. When I look at you, this is what I see. I see the eye of a man. Also, I see the eye of a wolf. And in the eye of man, I see honestly, decency, innocence. I see an upright man who walks on a square. And in the eye of a wolf, I see a groaning and a growling, night howls and cries. I see a monster lying with black flecked spittle in the darkness of the borders of the town. How can I see a grow or cry? Her accent was not American, it was Russian or Maltese or Egyptian, perhaps. It is not hard in the eye of the mind. We see many things. Madame Ezekiel closed her green eyes. There is a traditional way, a way to wash off a bad shape. You stand in running water, in clear spring water, while eating wild rose petals, and then the shape of the darkness will be washed from you. You will return with the next full of the moon. So once the shape is washed from you, you open your veins in the running water. It will sting mightily, of course, but the river will carry the blood away. Now, the tarot. She unwrapped her deck from the black silk scarf that held it, passed me the cards to shuffle. I found them, refolded and bridged. Slower, slower, let them get to know you, let them love you, like a little woman would love you. I held them tightly, then passed them back to her. She turned over the first one.